Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Round Lake Area School District Board of Education on July 15th, 2024 at 7:37 p.m. If I can get started first with a roll call, please. Mrs. Bennett has that muscle memory to remember how to do.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Here, yes.
Mr. Tavera?
Here.
Mr. Jewett?
Here.
And the Pledge of Allegiance. And first up is an approval of meeting agenda. If I can get a motion to approve the meeting agenda as listed.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mrs. Larson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Tavera,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett.
Yes.
We have an approved agenda and the motion carries. And first up on that agenda is special recognition and presentations. Our Round Lake Area Exchange Club 2024 Above and Beyond Awards presentation. Just hold down yeah.
I have to keep holding it. Sorry about that. I'm sure it's made for that reason. Good evening. My name is Bruce Johnson, and I'm part of the Round Lake Area Exchange Club, and I'm joined by my fellow exchangeite, Danielle Theobald, who's here tonight. And we have the honor to recognize 3 of our awardees for our 6th annual Above and Beyond Awards program. The Round Lake Area Exchange Club believes that we need to recognize our outstanding first responders, public safety personnel, school district staff, and students each and every year for their efforts in going above and beyond for all of our communities. The awardees are recognized for outstanding acts of character, commitment, and compassion to both their profession and the community. These awards are unique in their criteria relating to one or more of the Round Lake Area Exchange Club's programs of service, which include Americanism, youth programs, community service, or the prevention of child abuse. The Round Lake Area Exchange Club has been partnering with first responders, public safety, and our schools, as well as so many other stakeholders in the Round Lake area communities for over 25 years. We're proud of the positive impacts that we've made together, and it's in this spirit that we would once again like to recognize in our first honoree, who is a student of the Round Lake area schools. And I'm going to read the nomination for you all. I'll try to do it quickly. Beach Elementary School has approximately 375 students enrolled. We have so many students that are amazing, well-rounded citizens. One current 5th grader was immediately at the top of my list when I reflected on students who exhibit outstanding acts of character, commitment, and compassion to their community. I would like to nominate Yusuf Suleiman for the Above and Beyond Award. Yusuf is a student who is always willing to help and goes above and beyond to be involved. Yusuf has been involved in Cub Scouts in the community. For our school community, Yusuf has joined every intramural, is a member of the art club and yearbook club, attends all our school community nights or activities, and has helped Mrs. Saunders' 1st grade class this year. He shows excitement to help others, is constantly taking up jobs in the classroom, and always is willing to go above and beyond for Beach. Yusuf strives to help all students, and when faced with a challenge, he doesn't give up. This was from Mrs. Trina Metz, principal at Beach Elementary School. I know Yusuf is not here, so we're hoping that Mrs. Metz will accept on behalf of Yusuf. The next award, I'd like to read that nomination. It's my pleasure to nominate Sean Oswald as a recipient of the 2024 Round Lake Area Exchange Club Above and Beyond Award. Sean has served the students at Raymond Ellis Elementary School since 2013. During that time, he's been an amazing teacher of physical education. He provides students with wonderfully creative opportunities to learn and practice skills. He understands that elementary-age children learn best through play and games, so he very much fosters an environment that is joyful and supportive, always reinforcing that it takes practice to do something well and that it's okay to make mistakes. Raymond Ellis Elementary School hosts a variety of programs specific to children with special needs. Mr. Oswald successfully connects and engages with a variety of students, but his efforts with children who have autism, Down syndrome, cognitive delays, and/or behavioral deficits are nothing short of remarkable. He is conscientious and intentional about fostering positive relationships with them. He greets them before class enthusiastically, reinforces their positive behaviors during class, models and redirects them in kind and caring ways. Other students witness the compassion he displays to these children, and I believe it manifests itself in them doing the same to others. Mr. Oswald's positive impact extends beyond physical education. He co-facilitates several intramural activities after school, including floor hockey, basketball, and soccer. During these practices and games, he manages to get students to compete with the highest level of sportsmanship. As teammates, they are encouraging to each other as well as respectful to their opponents. Many parents have commented after games about how well the children behave and present themselves. Mr. Oswald also assists with lunch supervision. All kidding aside, supervising children aged 6 to 11 in the cafeteria can test anyone's patience. Yet, Mr. Oswald manages to find the balance and giving them an opportunity to socialize, unwind, and have fun while simultaneously being respectful and well-mannered. Earlier this year, we were experiencing a shortage of substitute teachers. Staff were moved around to compensate for various vacancies. We discovered a need for help with tasks like crossing guard duties. Mr. Oswald reached out unsolicited to volunteer to help serve as a crossing guard before and after school. This gesture meant he was sacrificing some of his personal planning time to help. It also meant that he was exposed to a variety of weather conditions while ensuring children walking to and from school made it across a busy street safely. For the past several years, Mr. Oswald has attended a variety of middle school and high school sporting events to encourage and applaud graduates of Ellis Elementary School. Years after they leave Ellis Elementary, he is still demonstrating his support for these former students and celebrating their growth as individuals, athletes, and students. He has also discreetly contacted at least one family from Ellis Elementary each year to offer a modest scholarship that would ensure a child interested in participating in the basketball team would receive a pair of new basketball shoes. In each of these instances, the child would not have been properly equipped to participate despite having a passion to play and compete. Scott Kubelka, Principal, Raymond Elementary School. And the last 2024 Above and Beyond Award winner, I'm going to read this nomination. I'm writing to enthusiastically nominate Corey Fink, Round Lake Area Schools 116 Director of Crisis and Safety for the 2024 Round Lake Area Exchange Club Above and Beyond Award in recognition of his outstanding dedication and exceptional contributions to creating a safe environment for the Round Lake Area school community. I've had the opportunity of working with Corey for the last 5 years and within the same department for the last year and a half. Throughout this time, I've been impressed by his ability to go above and beyond on a daily basis to build structures across the district that create the safest possible environments for students and staff. Over the past year, Corey has tackled a large number of safety measures, bringing Round Lake Area schools to a level for which we have never experienced. Some of the projects he initiated and implemented this year include but are not limited to the following. Coordinated district-wide all-staff RLAS safety training. This is active shooter preparedness, consisting of e-learning module, RLAS certified trainer presentations, and hands-on scenario-based training that taught staff how to respond to an active shooter intrusion, barricade methods, escape options, relocation, face-to-face interactions, etc. He arranged for 17 district administrators to become certified ALIS trainers, coordinated installation of brand new public address systems at all schools in the district, implemented emergency poll stations that provide an immediate alert notification system in all schools, providing direct contact to 911, indicating immediate school lockdown, expanded district safety alert app access, led process to install maglock door system at Round Lake High School, which prohibits individuals from allowing unauthorized access into the school via the exterior doors, initiated upgraded surveillance camera system installation within the schools, partner with area police and fire departments to run active assailant simulation response and relocation process drills, enhanced role and responsibilities and training of district-wide school safety assistants, implemented new standard response protocols, refined threat assessment processes. Additionally, Corey served as a key member of the Round Lake Area Schools administrative team, bringing a new and deeper level of partnership between the area police departments and fire department. In all my time at Round Lake Area Schools, I've never seen such a strong relationship between the various municipalities, in a large part due to Corey's ongoing interaction with the emergency response teams. In conclusion, I wholeheartedly believe that Corey is deserving of the Above and Beyond Award for his exceptional contributions and unwavering commitment to serving the Round Lake Area 116 community. Thank you for considering this nomination, and it's signed Heather Bennett, Deputy Superintendent. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, next up, we have communications to the board and our CEDAW governing board recap. And I believe it is Mrs. Larson.
All right, I will try and keep this brief. So CEDAW Governing Board met June 5th. We did a lot of things. We elected governing board officers. We did special recognition for students from Learmont who was the Infinitec Assistive Technology student, Outstanding Student of the Year. We recognized Miss Carrie McHugh, who was stepping down from the governing board. We recognized Dr. Donnan. It was her last meeting. She is leaving CEDAW. Let's see, what else did we do? We did a lot. We also appointed executive board members. Thank you, Dr. Mendoza, for renewing another 2 years there with CEDAW as an executive board member. Let's see what else we did. We established some meeting dates. So August 7th, you're up. They presented a tentative budget for us. They talked a little bit about the future. And the future is moving and shaking and changing a lot. They were meeting with all of their districts' financial people later in June to talk about their finances and the pricing and how that's going to change this year. There's some changes with more of the districts taking back students. Prices are changing a bit. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Any questions for the CEDAW governing board recap? Hearing none, thank you very much. And next up, we will move to Dr. Kibbens and our fiscal year 25 budget assumptions.
Good evening. I'm one of the financial people that CEDAW met with. One of many. Moving forward, so looking at our budget assumptions, this is the first budget assumption of the new fiscal year. A couple of things just to bring to your attention. First of all, in the board memo, you will see a total fund balance from our fiscal 23 comprehensive annual financial audit CAFR at $55,178,510. As you look at a period of time, you see that our fund balance has been growing. That's really a compliment not only to our school board, but to all of our individuals who have responsibilities with the budget to make sure we're being fiscally prudent with items. Also just wanted to bring to the board's attention that this budget assumption does reflect what we would consider a flat evidence-based funding. We have not received our new numbers from the state of Illinois yet on what our evidence-based funding would be. Flat meaning what we know from last year. So fiscal 24 number is listed there on line 2. Once we receive our increased funds, we will note that as such. And again, evidence-based funding replaced general state aid, and we are a Tier 1 district. So as we look at specifics, this budget assumption, in particular, line 38, reflects a 6.0 FTE decrease in certified staff. That's due to attrition, either retirements or resignations or some positions that had been shuffled. So that's what we mean by attrition. When we look at line 53, that is a 1.0 FTE attendance dean. That position was approved by the Board of Education June 17th, 2024. Also line 54, this position was also approved by the Board of Education June 17, 2024, a 1.0 FTE bilingual social worker. So knowing what we know and adding those positions, again, taking into account the attrition and a flat EBF standing, we're at a positive budget position of $3,208,384.50. Any questions?
So yeah, no, just to add, of course, this was at the Finance Committee meeting earlier this evening. Of course, Dr. Kibbens and I spent Finance Committee spends a great deal of time with her reviewing this, making sure, reviewing, additional positions. Here later this evening, there will be some other additional positions that will come forward for request to the board. So we will see a slight change in some of these line items. But, I appreciate the work that Dr. Kibbens and everybody does, because again, the fiscal health of this district is everything.
Any additional questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you very much, Dr. Kibbens. Next up is a review of the recycle of obsolete technology equipment. Any questions from the board in regards to the memo itself? It's pretty self-explanatory. Hearing none, next up we'll go same question, disposable materials. Any questions from the board in regards to the memo presented in front of us? All right, hearing none there, we'll move next to the FOIA report. As presented, any questions from the board in regards to the FOIA report? All right, hearing none there, we'll move next to contracts less than 1,000. We had nothing to report there, which then calmly brings us to public comment. As always, members of the public may participate in public comment during regular board meetings by attending in person or by submitting an electronic public comment form. Please note that the speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Electronic public comments are always accepted up until noon on the day of the regularly scheduled meeting, and the public commenter will be contacted to confirm identity. Once confirmed, the electronic public comment will be provided to all board members in written form, and a link to the electronic public comment form is online. We did not have any electronic public comment for today's meeting. Do we have any local public comment? Seeing none, we will now move on to the Finance Committee update.
All right, thank you. So yes, as stated earlier, the Finance Committee met earlier. Due to our shortened abbreviated schedule for the summer, most of the items that we discuss are on our regular agenda, so I'll cover those as those come up on the agenda. Other items that I did want to bring forward is a request from Mrs. Cacciatore in regards to using a software platform called Omela. And this would be used for activities and athletic programs. There is actually no contract. It's a monthly, no annual contract. It's a monthly subscription cost to the district. So a platform that we use for prom tickets, athletic camps, fine arts fees, those kinds of things. Just a couple things that finance had brought forward because because there's no contract and no fee. You would just terminate the service. But the fees that are associated with it had just brought up some concerns because the fees are passed on to the parent or whoever the user will be, and their fees are 3.49% plus a per transaction fee, so that can add up, especially if you're paying for a prom ticket. So we want to make sure that there are other options for parents to pay for things, whatever they're going to pay for camp or prom, homecoming. So that they can pay by check or by cash if they're still going to use this platform. I know they want to use the platform to gather reports, get data regarding athletics, prom, homecoming, which is great, but we don't want it to be an extra cost or burden to our families. Also, there is how this platform makes money is by a tip option. I know we're all familiar with you walk up to the register and, would you like to tip? That's how they make their money on this platform. We would want to make sure that is disabled. We wouldn't want to ask our parents to buy prom or homecoming tickets and then, would you like to tip? We don't think that is prudent for us to ask. So there is a small fee for when we set this up, like for prom, homecoming, maybe an athletic camp, that we would have to absorb because we wouldn't want that option for our families. But the reporting aspect of it and getting everything in one place for forms, data, reports is great. It's just some of those fees. We want to make sure those aren't passed on to our families. So that'll come forward at the next board meeting. The other is Murphy and Beach Elementary, as we are transitioning to a new partner school model. Of course, our playgrounds will shift based on those new students in those buildings. And with the shuttering of Pleviac, there's playground equipment there. Dr. Lamping provided in the finance packet, if you reviewed, some equipment that is on Beach and Murphy. Some of the questions that came out of that in the review of its picture 2 for Murphy, the staircase that goes up to the slide is really deteriorated and really is a safety hazard for our students. And we know our students use our facilities year round, especially now with summer. Of course, not with the rain, but I see kids at that park all the time. We want to make sure our playground is safe. So we want to make sure that our administration is reminded, and I'm told that they will be with those meetings coming up as the next school year comes around, to remind them of the ownership of not just the building inside, but the building outside. Because that slide is so deteriorated, that has happened over time. And again, we want to make sure we are providing safe environment for our students. So that is going to be addressed right away. So again, as we transition to partner schools and new grade levels, with the bringing in kindergarten students to our elementary buildings, assessing that equipment. With the equipment at Pleviac, in our original agreement with Pleviac, if we were to remove that equipment, if you recall, we do have to pay for half of it because it was a cost shared by Pleviac. So that comes at a cost about $3,000, and we'd want to move some of that structure over to Murphy. And again, those are some additional costs as well that will range in the tens of thousands of dollars, but we do need to bring over to each of the buildings that suit the students that we will now serve at those buildings. Beach School specifically will have a handicapped student. So again, we want to make sure that we offer equipment to all the students we serve. That playground is also owned by the Park District. So Dr. Lamping has worked with the Park District to get a handicap accessible swing. And I know we're working to see what other equipment that we can bring for that student and students in the future as well. Any questions on that? All right, last item that I have that coming forward is the high school theater. As we know, it was brought to the board's attention that we have a lighting issue in the theater, and we're looking to get that replaced. So Dr. King is working on getting us, what that cost will be. But as we talk about the theater, we recently had to replace the sound. We did the stage prior to that, so we've kind of been piecemealing a lot of things with the theater. We do know the theater is also showing its age in other areas. So it was asked that they bring forward a more comprehensive plan to the theater. Because there's carpet, we know that needs to be addressed. The theater seats need to be addressed. And apparently some issues possibly with the stage as well. So let's bring a more comprehensive plan in regards to the theater. So we will hear about the at the next meeting, but we also will start looking at a more comprehensive plan to address the needs of the theater. You're shaking your head, yeah.
Thinking about doing like the Fox Lake did with theirs with little seats.
Oh, I don't know if we're gonna get movie theater style reclining seating, but yeah. Always a good thought. Always a good thought. And I think that's everything. Is the student raptor? Yeah, it's on there. So that's all the items that are not on the agenda that is coming forward later this evening. Again, as we get to those items, I will give the feedback and considerations and talks that happen with finance on those items. But any questions on what I did cover? Mr. DeVere, anything you'd like to add? All right, thank you.
Thank you. And next up is the consent agenda.
All right, hold on one second while I switch. All right, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda for the following items. The accounts payable report for $2,209,508.25. Previous motions report, $193,234.54. The June 2024 investment and interest report, the June 2024 P-card report, July 15th, 2024 employment report.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Ms. Larson. I'll just chime in. Thank you. I definitely like that investment and interest report.
Thank you, yes. Dr. Kibbins, some of the financial reports coming later due to the timing and the district having the week of 4th of July off. We did obviously want to report, and kind of like we discovered with our food service, again, because of timing, we were able to get something more inclusive. Dr. Kibbins gets the credit for that.
Definitely love it, so thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Devera,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
Yes. Motion carries. And that'll bring us to the introduction of administration. I don't know who's first, so.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'll go first. So I'll be introducing Dr. Daniel Schuth to you, our new director of HR. So Dan has been an administrator for 17 years. Many of the school districts he's worked in have been very diverse. That is where he does find his passion. Most recently, he was the principal in a Skokie Elementary School where there were over 55 languages spoken. Dan, on a personal level, is a family first person. He has a wife, Jody, and a daughter, Emma. Emma is going to be a sophomore at Millikan University, where she is studying theater. Her hopes one day are to be on Broadway. Very talented. Dan and his family are very big into Disney. On another personal note, something they really enjoy. He actually was at Disney, which is why he wasn't at the last board meeting, because he was at Disney. Dan has expressed how excited he is for the opportunity to be here on Round Lake to serve our community as well. and to bring all of the things that he has learned in the course of his 20 plus years of education to make Round Lake an even better place. So, the 3 words that have been described, Dan has been described, were humble, passionate, and driven. So I present to you Dr. Daniel Schutz.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say how grateful I am for the opportunity to be here, and I've already met amazing people to work with, and we've dove right into everything that's happening so far. So we're making lots of strides, and I just really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you, and I look forward to meeting you individually as well.
Good evening. It is with great pleasure that I introduce Lenore Burton as our newest multilingual coordinator, whose extensive experience in dual language and commitment to educational excellence will be invaluable to our district. From our first conversation, it was very apparent that Nora is passionate about advocating for multilingual education and dual language education. She elevates the voices of teachers and students, cultivating a love for learning, increasing teacher efficacy, and improving learning outcomes for multilingual students. She began her 13-year career in Highland Park, teaching 4th and 5th grade dual language and English as a second language in a resource model. Nora then accepted the opportunity in North Chicago to expand her career as a dual language instructional coach. Nora also has experience in educational consulting through WIDA, the World Class Instructional Design and Assessment Consortium that designs our access and language standards, and the Wisconsin Center for Education Products and Services. She's facilitated workshops for district leaders and teachers across the country on various topics that support multilingual learning. Nora holds a bachelor's in communication and Latino studies, a master's in elementary education and curriculum and instruction, and she has most recently completed her coursework in her PhD in educational leadership. Nora is joined today by her husband Frank, her 17-year-old son Manny, and 11-year-old daughter Julie. In her free time, Nora loves camping at Yogi Campground with her family and cooking Puerto Rican and Mexican food to share with others, which I got to try today for lunch. It was amazing. So we're very happy to have her join our team.
Muchas gracias, Directora Knapp. Thank you, everyone, for this wonderful opportunity. Me siento muy orgullosa de ser parte de la familia de Round Lake. I'm very, very proud to be a part of the Round Lake family, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. I have the honor to introduce Sarah McClellan as the new Assistant Principal of Curriculum and Instruction at McGee Middle School. Sarah is coming to us with 19 years in education. She has spent her time teaching both middle school and high school levels. She then was an instructional coach for 4 years, and then this will be her 3rd year in an assistant principal position. She's coming from Bradford High School, which is in Kenosha, but she lives here in Illinois. When she is not in school, which she spends a lot of time there, according to everyone that I've talked to, she's very, very dedicated. She loves to spend time with her family, her husband, and their 4 children. When I spoke to her supervisors and many other people that have known Sarah, she has been thought of as very determined, outgoing, and a true team player, which is something that we really value in this district and at McGee. I think that she is going to be a great asset to our team, and I am so excited to have her be part of the McGee family. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you very much. I've been away from Lake County for a number of years, so I'm very excited to be back. Thank you. All right, good evening. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Mrs. Sibby Bailey as the assistant principal at W.J. Murphy Elementary School. Sibby joins us from District 69, where she's most recently served as a special education instructional coach for the past 3 years. Prior to her work in District 69, she served as a dedicated special education teacher within the North Shore School District 112, Woodland District, as well as Waukegan. Throughout her career, Ms. Bailey has demonstrated a profound commitment to inclusive education, working across diverse educational settings to support students with a wide range of needs. Her extensive experience and deep understanding of special education will be instrumental as we continue to foster an environment where every student can thrive. We eagerly anticipate working together and collaborating, and I am looking forward to working together on our shared goals of academic excellence and student achievement. So please help me in welcoming Sibby Bailey.
Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to working along Sarah to serve our staff and students and parents and community at Murphy. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that wraps up those introductions. So we will now go to Dr. Mendoza with the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board President Francisco and Board of Education. In your update this week and consistent with board policy, we have a list of donations, all of which are for Round Lake Middle School. 4 trays of mostaccioli from Orlando's, 100 tacos and 120 cans of soda from Los Camales, and 120 cookies from Levin Oven. For your convenience, we have listed this year's open house dates. Point of note that as part of the calendar development process, we will work to segment and separate the high school from the 2 middle schools. It's a little too late to do that right now, but that's something we know we need to work on. For your convenience, we've also listed the pre-K 5 meet and greet school supply drop-offs, which is Wednesday, August 14th, 2024, between 3:30 and 5. And in preparation for the opening of our elementary schools under the new partner school structure, a comprehensive moving process began in the spring and has continued throughout the summer. This initiative was a collaborative endeavor involving multiple departments and building administration, each contributing to ensure the seamless transition. Key steps included the collection and redistribution of math manipulatives to align with the updated curriculum, and collecting and organizing all classroom assigned kits to prepare for a smooth start to the school year. The teaching and learning team members, in partnership with principals and operation team members, provided essential support throughout, particularly in coordinating the gathering, organizing, and distribution of resources across school buildings. This included the meticulous inventory and organization process to streamline operations and facilitation of efficient resource allocation for the upcoming academic year. This work has also included the delivery and inventory of all new curriculum resources. To date, math materials have been received, inventoried, and placed in classrooms. English and Spanish language arts resources have been delivered and are ready for the inventory process. This has been a massive, massive undertaking. So I want to thank the team, all of the teams. And then one thing that's not here that I just would like the board to think about, you don't have to answer this evening, because it's definitely a board decision, is the administration would like the board to consider going back to 2 board meetings in June and July. We, on our team, we've talked about this extensively, and I think on paper it looks helpful for us, but we have found it to be very challenging in the sense of timing, making recommendations, having things stack up from one board meeting to the next. We definitely defer to you in that decision because it impacts you as volunteers. We know you're volunteers. So just something to think about. Maybe we can talk about that as a formal board agenda item at one of the August meetings. So that concludes the superintendent's report.
Only question I have, thank you for the dates. Would it be possible to have the board have those sent out as calendar appointments?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
And then also, just as an FYI on dates as well, I know we have several recurring dates that we may not necessarily yet have on our calendars, aka homecoming parade, things like that. Even if it's just a placeholder, please let's do our best to get those on our calendars, because I know, especially for me, I can only speak for myself, but I need those blocks on my calendar so that I don't overdo myself.
Yep, agreed.
Yes.
I plan on bringing some of those dates to the Community Engagement Committee on August 5th, and once those are kind of firmed up, we'll send those out.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Dr. Mendoza, and now we will move to approval of open meeting minutes.
Need a motion to approve the meeting minutes of June 17th, 2024, board special meeting, public hearing.
So,
Second. Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mr. Francisco. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yeah.
Mrs. Larson?
Abstain.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the June 17th, 2024 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Abstain.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. And motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the special education transportation 3-year term bid award to Top Line Transportation with renewable option after the contract term ends.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Just a quick clarifying question. Top Line was the low bid out of these 3 bids, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, we were, again, this was at finance earlier this evening. They are the lowest bid. Some of the questions that came forward in regards to this recommendation for approval is, have we used Top Line before? We're probably more familiar with some of the other names that we saw in the bid process. So we have and currently do use Top Line, so they wouldn't be new to the district. And then, you know, just want to make sure they have familiarity with the district and our student population. And
Just
then-
a couple other, I'm sorry,
no.
pieces to note. Top Line has been providing transportation to our homeless families since 1999. So they've been well involved within Round Lake in a strong partnership. Our special education transportation bid has not gone out to bid since 2007. So it was time for us to do that. Certainly we are very pleased with our previous provider. You know, there was no concerns there. It was really doing our due diligence for our taxpayers and our fiduciary responsibility to go out to bid. If this bid, there's a variance of about $300,000 between the lowest bid and the next level bid, and references were checked. I did also send this to our attorneys for an attorney review, and they are in support of our recommendation to you here this evening.
And those are all the items that we talked about at finance, you know, again, just new for special, but not new to Round Lake, as Dr. Kivens mentioned. Serves our homeless population. And, well, she covered it all, but those are all the talking points at finance as well.
All right. Hearing no additional, roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson? Yes. Mr. Francisco?
Yes. And motion carries.
All right, new business. I need a motion to approve the expenses related to Board of Education travel, meals, and lodging for the IASB Board President's Academy. With the maximum estimated cost of $1,061.28.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. And motion carries.
All right, need a motion to approve the contract and related documents. This is wrong. It says documents to the July 15th, 2024 meeting. So I need a motion to approve the contract related documents to Perry Weather System contract. It's wrong. Sorry about that. Reread that motion because I was
Thank you.
interrupted in the thought. Need a motion to approve the contract and related documents to the Perry Weather System contract and related all documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Francisco, seconded by Mr. Tavera. Finance.
Yeah, sorry. My thought process got all. Anyway, so this is a Perry Weather System contract that our athletic director, Mr. Carol Zach, brought forward, which I think is fabulous. We definitely should have this, and so very happy to see this come forward. Some questions that came out of finance in regard to this was, confirming the lease of the equipment, the maintaining of it, should anything happen, placement of the equipment, which I know Mr. Carol Zach is working through with Dr. Lamping. It's a point to make because anything that goes on top of the press box roof, it could, jeopardize the integrity and of course the warranty that we have with that. And I know they're going to work through that. And then users, administration would have access to the dashboard. Users would have access to, is it an app again, Mr. Carol Zach? Could you correct me on that?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, use that in app. Again, this would be a better measure of severe weather versus, as Mr. Carol Zach said, human error, like watching the alerts like you're probably getting on your phone right now with the weather and watching the sky. So this would obviously also was mentioned that we would have access to a meteorologist, which would be great around graduation. Sorry.
Sorry.
So it really is a great find, and it definitely would help and increase the safety of our students and families that we serve when they're here at any of the events here at the stadium or at the high school.
I have a quick question. Would this also
be accessible, I mean, obviously to the administration and whatnot, but to like the coaches for like making decisions with like football practice in the summer and the heat advice, like, today's weather or such.
Yes, it's exactly its purpose. It's weather monitoring, detection, and alert system for primarily lightning, extreme heat, and extreme cold.
Thank you.
And this would come out of the athletics budget.
All right, hearing no additional questions, roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. And motion carries.
Need a motion to approve Dr. Pamela Kibbins and CSBO as a district treasurer for the 2024-2025 school year.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
And again, this was at finance. This is really formality, putting Dr. Kibbins, obviously with the district treasurer's report for the 2024-2025 school year.
Hearing no additional questions, roll call, please.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the list of public depositories and authorize board officers and district administration to execute all documents related to these depositories.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Ms. Larson.
Again, this is really a rinse and repeat for the board. This is a annual process that we do in regards to all our deposits.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Dan Schuth and Dr. Pamela Kibbins, CSBO, as the Round Lake Area School District 116 IMRF, authorized agents and district administration to execute all documents relating to these appointments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mrs. Larson.
Again, this is a rinse and repeat for the district. The change being here is the difference with Dr. Dan Schuth, who is new to the district and now the director of HR. That's the name change here.
Roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the purchase of 0 Hart Road, pending approval of soil borings and pavement core reports.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Francisco, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
Again, did you want to talk to Dr. Kibbins?
Absolutely. So as a reminder, the Board of Education authorized us to pursue an appraisal of the property. That was several months ago. That was shared with the board. At this point, we are very confident in this recommendation in addition to the appraisal price within the authorization limits that the Board of Education provided. We want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence with the ground and knowing what the future opportunities may bring, which is why we are presenting a contract to you pending the report of pavement cores and soil borings. Also in the packet is the identification of where those would be to give us enough information for moving forward. Mark Virk will receive that report, and upon his review, if we need to get other resources, we will. We will come back then with a final closing date to the Board of Education.
Hearing no additional questions, roll call, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I just add regarding the soil borings? And I apologize, Dr. Kibbins, if you mentioned it because I was looking at something else. Just the weather's deterring getting those back, so we're hoping to get those back. Weather pending. Just want to make sure I added that.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve entering into a contract with Educators Rising for access to their curriculum resource in the amount of $4,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
So again, this was at finance. This curriculum is part of our Grow Your Own for teaching and educational psych. Administration was recently advised by ISB they would no longer be covering that. So of course, obviously we need that curriculum. So that will be paid for out of grant money, out of the CTE Educational Career and Pathway Continuation Grant. So the question was asked, this is being paid out of grant funds this year, what happens next year and the years, after that? This possibly could be replaced as they are looking into a dual credit program with College of Lake County. But we won't know that until later this year if it turns into that.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve entering into a contract with School Links for the work-based learning platform add-on for a term of 3 school years in the amount of $5,780.50.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
Again, this was at finance. This is in regards to students with internships, with Tech Campus. This is being supported and recommended by Roe to be used as a countywide platform. This will help better tracking of and logging and larger scale interest for internships. It hopefully will help also grow this program with other organizations within Lake County. And again, it is in partnership with the Regional Office of Education, where they are offering, it is a cost of $2.50 per student, and you get a reimbursement of $1 per student.
Perfect. Thank you. Hearing no additional questions, roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
Yes. And the motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the state mandated 2.0 FTE teaching assistants at Beach Elementary to allow for students with visual impairments to be educated within the least restrictive environment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Ms. Larson.
Well, as you kind of heard within the motion, this is a state mandate for 2 students at Beach Elementary. Again, it is funded through the IDEA grant.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the contract with Parchment Diploma Services in the amount of $4,290.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
Again, this item was at finance. Jostin was the provider for replacement diploma for our alumni. They finally have said they've finally stopped saying they are able to offer replacements. Obviously, we want to make sure that service is still available to our alumni. So we've worked out an agreement with Parchment Diploma Services so that that is still available and still a service. The nice thing here is this will combine students or alumni needing their diploma and or transcripts through one company now.
Hearing no additional questions, roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
Yes. Motion carries.
Need a motion to approve the fire suspension system with sprinkler system for district warehouse bid to NTI in the amount of $109,871.00.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
And again, this was at finance, as we have the warehouse on Valentine Road in Round Lake, so that we can get occupancy. Obviously, we have to have a fire suspension system. So this will help in getting that occupancy permit. And again, as we are moving to a partner school, we need to have that warehouse for storage and for others to go in and out of that building. So this obviously needs to be done.
Hearing no additional questions, roll call please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the expansion of 3 existing safety assistant positions from school year to 12-month positions.
So
In the
moved.
amount of $37,940. Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Larson, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
So again, this is at finance. Our school safety positions are not full year positions. This is to bring 3 of them to full 12-month positions. With the addition of the mag locks, the increased use here at the high school, they're finding the need to have a safety assistant at the main door, at the activities door, and a floater, if you will. So that's what this request is for.
All right, hearing no additional questions, roll call please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the 2024-2025 intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Brown Lake for one school resource officer.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
This is, again, really a rinse and repeat with the Village of Round Lake for the school resource officer here at Round Lake High School. The difference here, of course, is the increase in the rate, obviously covering the cost of living. So that's the difference here.
Hearing no additional questions, roll call please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Round Lake Heights for one school resource officer in the amount of $55,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mrs. Larson.
Again, this was at finance. This is the resource officer at Round Lake Middle School. Round Lake Heights this year is using the same template that the Village of Round Lake is using. Again, there is a slight increase due to the cost of living.
I'll just put out there, I know everybody knows what I'm going to say here. For me, I still appreciate that Round Lake Heights has moved and copied the contract from Round Lake. I'm still not completely sold on their ability to provide the resources here, but definitely understand the need. Hearing no additional comments, roll call please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yeah.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
No. Motion carries.
I need a motion to support the use of $1,000 of the teacher vacancy grant money to enroll in the LA Fitness Corporate Wellness Program to provide discounts and benefits for all RLAS employees in the amount of $1,000.
So. Second.
Motion by Mr. Tavera, seconded by Mr. Jewett.
Again, this was at finance. This is $1,000 paid to LA Fitness for discounted rates for our staff to enroll in a health club. Obviously, LA Fitness has locations all over. Our staff is diversely located as well. So this would be an employee benefit. The question being, because this is, again, $1,000 paid to LA Fitness, being paid out of a teacher vacancy grant, once you start offering a benefit to employees, you don't want to take it away. So again, should this grant not be available next year or any year, what was the intent for administration? So again, they mentioned that as we do budget assumptions and as we move forward, to continue this, they would fund it through that. But this would give a discounted rate to employees to join LA Fitness.
And I know, and I appreciate being able to sit in on finance this evening. I have serious questions about calling it a discount if we're paying for it, because it's not a discount, we're shuffling money. Whether it's a grant or comes out of the district money, it's money being paid to a corporation. So I have that challenge. And then also I know I asked, and we're going to look into, just like Crunch, which is next up on the list here, is offering us a discount at the same point with no cost upfront. There are other health clubs in the community. I can name you Snap and 24 Hour Fitness that would give us the same ability, potentially, if they're willing to do a deal like Crunch, that would give that same ability to have more options for our employees. I'm still very hesitant about conversations of having a discount when we're paying for it. So.
Yep, definitely understand that. Kind of to go back to what you said about what are their offerings to employees, and not just even health clubs. So the question came in, and we have a couple more to go over with Crunch and BetterHelp. If we start offering our employees other added benefits, what kind of intranet site or what kind of platform do we have for them to go to so they can see all these outside benefits? Outside in, the insurance, life insurance, any supplemental insurances that we offer, but like the health clubs, other services. I know most of us coming from a corporate world, we have that intranet site of, it's usually called Perk Spot, of those type of benefits that we, movie theater ticket discounts, gym membership discounts. It seems like our HR department is starting to venture that way. Again, offering other opportunities to share with our staff for, better retention and, even as we, look to continue to hire within the district. So I know they're talking about that.
Hearing no additional questions, roll call, please.
Actually, I've got a
Please.
question. Does our insurance, or does the school district's insurance cover or supplement health clubs? So for instance, I've seen a lot of different health insurance policies do that.
I don't believe we do. That's what Dan and I need to dig into. Yeah, I was just at
Yeah.
in finance. They talked about digging in to see.
Yeah, there's.
I know a lot of like BCBS HMOs actually, to your point, have that built in, whether into the HMO, some sort of a benefit there. So to that point, they're depending on what they picked, they may.
Yeah, because there's another one coming up where those are like, because again, I know insurance offerings are different in what they cover and assist you as, whatever your plan is. So those are some of the questions that came out, and it's a repeated question on some of the other ones that are going to come forward. What does the insurance that we offer our employees, what does it provide?
Correct. And then the other thing that you had said, which I agree with, is just making sure that everybody knows about it.
Yep.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yeah.
Mrs. Larson,
Yes.
Mr. Francisco.
No. Motion carries.
I need a motion to support the employee discount with Crunch Fitness at zero cost.
So moved. Second. Motion by Mr. De Vera, seconded by Mr. Francisco.
So again, this was at finance. Again, this is no cost to the district, but does offer a discount to our staff. So renewal is obviously very beneficial. And again, some of these were brought earlier. We wanted to make sure that we are, giving a diverse option. Also, just there's a lot of, as Mr. Francisco said, memberships for health clubs in the community. But this is Crunch, again, discount based on the type of membership that you select, as noted in the memo. But again, it's at no cost to the district.
Hearing no additional questions, roll call please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the agreement with BetterHelp in the amount of $12,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Francisco, seconded by Mr. DeVera.
Again, this is, in line, as we mentioned, with physical, mental health for our staff. Again, this is at a cost of $12,000 out of the teacher vacancy grant. This will give 4 sessions per employee for access to mental health. Again, the same question as you mentioned, Mr. Jewett, what does our health insurance offer to cover this? $12,000, again, while paid out of a teacher vacancy grant, once you start offering this type of benefit, it's really hard to retract that from the staff. So I know they are going to look into that to see what that is. But again, it does give access to our staff to have this option as we look to serve both physical and mental health.
I have a question. Do we have an employee assistance program?
Yes.
We do.
And does it cover counseling? Because many of them do provide counseling and or opportunities to
that
get
question was
counseling.
asked.
And or how do we make sure that what happens when someone needs more than 4 sessions and we cut them off and then they do something tragic? I have a lot of issues with this.
So that's actually, the EAP is limited to the amount of sessions, which is why this would be a nice supplement, because this is not limited. So the two of them together would provide more opportunities for our staff.
Right, but then you would hop from, hi, I'm going to see you for 4 sessions, and I'm going to go see that person and reopen all my wounds for 4 sessions. And that's not how therapy works. It doesn't work well that way. So I have a lot of concerns over this. Also, hearing certain reviews and whatnot from certain people in my profession.
Concerns on the EAP portion?
Concerns on BetterHelp.
So I just want to get a question, because it's not necessarily unlimited. They get 4 paid sessions. Should they continue to keep that service with BetterHelp? It's a discounted rate. Is that correct?
They do get additional sessions. They have to pay the standard BetterHelp rate, which is $70 to $90 per session. So the discount comes in that we are giving them the 4 free sessions, and BetterHelp is less than the copay of a lot of counseling on many insurance programs.
Okay, so then I'm going to throw another wrench. So we provide 4 sessions. They can't afford to continue. They do something drastic. Where is our liability? Because we provided them a little, we provided them something, and then we didn't follow up and help them the rest of the way. Much like working in a school, if I have a student and I say, I'm telling you, you have to do this. If the school doesn't pay for it, then, we're on the hook. So, yes, I want to help people. I mean, that's my job. That's what I do. But I want to make sure that we do it in the best way for them and not just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
So I kind of have an idea of, do the other board members share concern about liability? Because I'm not aware that there would be, but I don't know.
Well, now that the question's up, yeah, I do kind of, now that it's been approached.
Yeah, I mean, those were questions we asked, like I said, that first go around, how does it, with the employee assistance program? I said the same thing, we offer them 4, but what if they can't pay even the $70 or $90? So, I mean, it's not that we don't want to offer, I think Miss Larson, like she said, it's not that you don't want to offer the assistance, but different than the health club assistance, in giving a discounted rate. Mental health is a different road that we're taking.
So I'm gonna, this is gonna sound counterintuitive, but we can find out liability. That's easy. I'm just, we're almost with some of these in a position that we're just, to avoid helping some, we're just gonna not do anything. So I don't think we're gonna be liable because we're making a concerted effort to offer a thing. I don't think there's any statute that says we have to do it in perpetuity, but if it makes the board feel better, because there is a motion on the floor, correct?
Yes, and can I just share, because I think, maybe where you're going. I know the Finance Committee also asked, not even just with this, but even with the health clubs, if we can start getting some data back on those on staff who are using these benefits. And
There's HIPAA laws,
their
you
feedback.
can't get certain ones.
Sorry?
Like with HIPAA laws, it's gotta be usage data. You
We
can't
don't
get
want names, just like, it's not names, it's just like.
Frequency,
Yes.
what types of
So,
services.
it's offered to all employees, just like with the health club, there's gonna be links. I don't know, 1,000 employees, 10 used, LA Fitness, 100 used Crunch. So we can see even, because, maybe it's, and I'm just using the health club as one. You have 100 people who are using Crunch and 10 that are using LA Fitness, but LA Fitness costs us $1,000. Maybe we just keep Crunch because it's free and that's where we're seeing the most usage from. We can start evaluating that kind of data. Same with BetterHelp. Maybe no employees use it. We don't know.
So I know this is a lot of information. At the last board meeting when we talked about when we did the presentations of our new district strategic plan, I specifically outlined multiple goals in there under HR that talked about health and wellness, and the measure is actually the utilization of each of the tools. So it's already built into the strategic plan as one of the measures. So that was information that HR will be working in conjunction with Liz and other staff as needed to gather that information and bring it back. So our goal was to just say, here, we don't have a baseline. And because we don't have a baseline, we're going to be putting more resources out there initially. And then once we get the resources out there, we'll start measuring those and we'll start doing evaluations to find out what is working now, what is not what is being utilized, what is not being utilized, the why things are and are not being utilized to the best of our ability, bring that information back to the board and adjust our strategic plan moving forward. So our goal was to put some more information out there and then put it in a better place, a little bit more organized, and then be proactive and preventative, offering it to staff instead of just saying, go get it if you need it. And then we were going to gather data on all of it, bring it back, and then make an informed decision moving forward off of this year. So we can do anything that you're comfortable with, but our goal, Dan and I's goal right out of the gate, is to gather information and make decisions on not just BetterHelp, but all the things that we're already doing, because we don't have data on that either. So we're gonna gather a baseline this year.
So that's not the issue right now. The issue right now is, do you feel like you have enough information to make an informed vote? Because I heard that the worry is if we offer 4 and then the person needs more but we don't pay for it, is the district liable? That's kind of what I heard. So this wouldn't be upsetting to the administration. There's a motion on the floor, and that you would probably know this more than I would. Either we rescind the motion, I make a motion to rescind the motion, or you vote no, and by the next meeting, we'll have the information for you in terms of what our level of liability is. And if there isn't any, I don't think providing some level of resource, I would recommend that we try it and see if it's good and then we pull it back. I don't want to put you in I want you to have enough information to feel like you're making an informed vote. So what do you think is better?
Well, if the board isn't comfortable in voting, do you want me to recall the motion?
I'm comfortable with the vote.
I'm comfortable.
Same thing would apply to EAP. We've been offering 6, and that's never come up as a limit of 6 before, so it's the same thing, isn't it?
it's fine. In hearing it from Ms. Larson, I'm actually, even though I know I was the one who made the initial motion, now I'm the one who's kind of, waffling on it. So I would actually, if we go with a vote, I'm going to vote no on it. But again, it's up to the rest of the board. I am.
Can I just ask? I know I'm asking in anticipation. It's like a straw poll. If you vote no, are you willing to vote again with more information on the liability?
I would absolutely.
Okay,
vote
I just
for
want to
more
make sure it's
information.
not.
I'm sure, of course, it's going to depend on the information.
It
Yeah,
depends
of
on
course.
what we hear.
Yeah. So, but
I'm gonna throw something out to you. Are you comfortable offering a student 4 counseling sessions and that's it?
Versus the 0 now?
No, I mean, would you be comfortable?
That's for staff.
No, I'm just saying
okay.
hypothetically. Like, would you be comfortable if a student?
Yeah, because sometimes.
Well, how is it different though? They have mental health issues.
So just for me, sometimes the part of that process is just getting over the beginning parts of just starting the counseling. Sometimes just removing that barrier for people beginning, and once they see the benefit of it, or once they discover, then they have desire to continue. That's my perspective on it.
and I'm just thinking out loud, but let's say we didn't do any better help. We are limited with the counseling we offer for the EAP. So are we on the hook for once that hits the cap? Are we saying we're liable because we didn't offer session 7, 8, 9?
Well, necessarily because that's a program and they know this is an EAP program. This is saying we're giving you free therapy 4 sessions.
I view it as a service. We are providing a health and wellness service for the staff. But again, I'm not the lawyer. I think we're fine. But if you want to vote, I just want to make sure, because Liz and the team, they've done a lot of work. I just don't want you to feel like we've done anything wrong. We just have to get more information. We're just in a position now where like a roll call's been called. So
Call the vote. Call the vote.
Let's go ahead. So let's go ahead and call the vote. Roll call, please.
Mr. DeVera,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley,
Yes.
Mr. Jewett,
Yes.
Mrs. Larson,
No.
Mr. Francisco.
No. Motion does not carry. Oh, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. No, I apologize. You are 100% right. I was stuck on 4. 100%. It does carry. Motion carries.
I would just say, just because the motion carried doesn't mean that we don't get answers.
we're gonna get the info.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because I know you guys are all sweating over here. I can see it.
No, not sweating. I mean, I just want you to have the information that you want. You feel comfortable and confident in voting, so that everyone feels comfortable with this. So we're happy to go back, talk to the attorney, find out if we have liability, which I agree with Don. I don't believe we do. However, we'll go back as the attorney. But then we also want to gather the information of the utilization of all of our resources, these included, and find out, do we have a deficit for staff as in what your concern is, to make sure that we're actually servicing everyone.
Right. Again, and I said those were all questions I brought up this first time it came around. That's why it was pulled. That's why it didn't come forward, because I had more questions than you had answers to. Again, offering these benefits, working for a major health insurance company, that's why I had those questions. So again, I think we still need to bring those forward.
Yeah, we'll actually have the information within the next day or two. So.
All right. Next up is positive occurrences.
Well, I was just gonna, congratulate Mr. Fink. That's, that's wonderful. Thank you. It's good work. Positive occurrence.
And I'll just throw out there, since my child keeps me busy and coming here every day of the week, it feels like. Summer camps are just rolling right along, so great job to the entire athletic department. Constantly seeing the camps going on between cross country, the ones I'm seeing here recently, cross country, soccer, volleyball. wrestling's had in and out. So definitely a great job just keeping that activity and the agenda. I know flag football had a couple really good trips down and some sessions there. So great job and looking forward to the coming fall season. All right, hearing no additional positive occurrences, we'll move on to future agenda items. Any future agenda items? I know that we did talk about, you probably want to go ahead and add it in regards to adjusting the 25-26 school calendar when it comes to June and July board meetings.
I'll just add, I know you're talking about having the two meetings now in the summer
Right.
instead of the one. I mean, I get it. I don't like that the finance agenda is so heavy and it's also on the regular agenda. I don't like that.
Right.
I like things a month prior, so, I mean, I would support that.
And then also, I would hope that that would give us the ability to streamline our committee meetings as well, just like you just said there, but also our other committee meetings, so that by having the two, community relations would have a non-finance board meeting to be able to meet on during the summer sessions as well.
I agree, because I think community engagement needs to meet in that, quote unquote, off season.
Okay, that was Mr. Jewett that spoke about that. All right, hearing nothing else on future agenda, we will move to approval of closed session minutes.
Need a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes of May 20th, 2024 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mr. Francisco. Roll call, please.
Mr. Devere?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries.
Need a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes of May 22nd, 2024 Board of Education special meeting expulsion hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Devere, seconded by Ms. Larson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Devere?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Abstain.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries. And that will bring us to convening closed session. I need a motion to convene in closed session as permitted by statute 5 ILCS 120/2 for the purpose of discussing the following: employment matters 5 ILCS 120/2C1, real estate matters 5 ILCS 120/2C5, closed meeting minutes 5 ILCS 120/2C21, and security procedures 5 ILCS 120/2C8.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mr. Devere. Roll call, please.
Mr. Devere?
Yes.
Mrs. McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes. Motion carries, and that will take us to closed session for the evening. We do not have any actionable items coming out, so for everyone, have a great evening, and we will be back on our normal first and third rotation in August. Everyone have a great evening.